Dr. Ann Martinez stood on the research vessel's deck as the sun set, coloring the sky in shades of pink and orange. She took in the salty breeze as it ruffled her hair, taking in the distant calls of seagulls in the air while staring at the expansive sea before her. Ann is a respected marine biologist known for her groundbreaking research on shark behavior. Located at a secluded research center near the shores of South Africa, she had committed her life to uncovering the secrets of the top predators in the ocean. The building was rough, situated on a rocky cliff with a view of the rough waves, a reminder of the tough but alluring marine environment. Ann's anticipation increased as she got ready for another day of fieldwork. It won't be long before she takes another dive into shark-infested territory to closely study their behavior. As she was getting ready, a crackling voice unexpectedly pierced through the radio static. A distress signal from a diver stuck on a distant reef miles away. Ann immediately jumped into action, mobilizing her team for a rescue operation. The reef was famous among divers for its winding paths and dangerous currents, in addition to its rich marine ecosystem that Ann had devoted her life to researching. Even though there were risks involved, Ann couldn't resist answering the call for help. Realizing that someone's life depended on her quick actions, she understood the need to act swiftly. While the research vessel sailed through the rough waters, Ann's heart raced in her chest. Scanning the horizon, she looked for any indication of the stranded diver in the vast ocean. At last, they arrived at the reef, a sharp formation of rocks and coral emerging from the deep like a stone fortress. Ann quickly put on her scuba and survival equipment, ready to dive into the unfamiliar depths. As Ann submerged into the cool water, she met with the eerie calm and view of the depths. Before her, the reef expanded with a mix of colorful fish swimming among the coral formations, creating a lively scene. However, Ann knew that amidst its calm and picturesque facade, the sea harbors lurking threats. While sailing through the cold waters, she felt her heart skip a beat upon spotting the huge figure, a 15-foot great white shark moving smoothly through the sea. Ann was in awe of the apex predator, yet she was keenly aware of its dangerous nature and sharp predatory instincts. Following that, she finally found the exhausted diver grasping onto the rocky ledge, fighting for his life. With a steady hand, Ann continued forward, her attention locked on the diver in distress. She gestured to him, indicating that he should stay calm while she approached, prepared to help in any possible way. However, as Ann approached, she looked over her shoulder and her heart sank when she noticed the shark approaching, its eyes locked on its target. With incredible swiftness, the shark quickly moved forward, opening its mouth wide as it aggressively lunged toward the diver. Ann felt her heart jump into her throat with horror, her mind quickly considering her options. Ann used all her strength and training to act immediately. Using a strong kick, she propelled herself toward the shark, and her movements were smooth and accurate. She aimed to hit the shark's weak snout, a place she believed could immobilize the creature with a powerful enough blow. Ann's foot quickly made contact with the shark's delicate snout. The predator was taken aback, its movement interrupted as it swerved off course from its target. However, the shark was still determined not to let go of its food. Within moments, the shark swiftly returned, this time with increased speed and aggression. Ann realized the diver was still in danger from the shark's attacks too late. The shark's sharp teeth brutally pierced his leg, causing a disturbing crunch as they tore through flesh and bone. The water became murky with blood, swirling in red wisps as the screams of the diver resonated in the depths. From a place of desperation, the diver kicked the shark over and over with his remaining leg. The shark pulled back once more and swam in a different direction, leaving the diver's legs severely mangled and torn to shreds. Ann's heart pounded as she watched the harrowing scene unfold, a sense of urgency gripping her. Time was running out and disaster loomed. Summoning every ounce of courage, Ann darted towards the injured diver, her hands trembling as she reached for her emergency medical kit. With swift, precise movements, she retrieved a length of gauze and a tourniquet, working swiftly to stem the flow of blood from the gaping wound. However, while trying to rescue the diver, Ann was aware that they were still at risk. The smell of blood permeated the water, acting as a signal that would draw in additional sharks to their spot over time. Fueled by determination and the will to survive, Ann lifted the injured diver onto her back, his weight dragging her down as she battled against the strong current. Using all her strength, she tried to drag the injured diver towards the safety of the rocks. But their movement was slow due to the inability of the diver to move on his own. As they moved closer to the formation of jagged rocks, Anne's biggest fears came true. The water appeared to darken around them, with more shadowy figures emerging from the depths. The smell of blood filled the water, causing the sharks to act on their primal instincts and move toward their exposed target in a frenzy. Anne's heart raced in her chest while she struggled to keep the injured diver above water, her mind filled with a strong feeling of determination. She was aware that their sole chance relied on getting to the research ship's safety before it was too late. They were in a race against time to survive against nature's unforgiving forces. Using all her strength and determination, Anne pushed forward. Her muscles ached and burned in protest of the effort she was exerting. However, as they approached the rock's refuge, the sharks advanced towards them, swiftly cutting through the water with alarming quickness. Anne sensed their presence hiding just below the surface, a primal intuition signaling the imminent threat encircling them. With a surge of adrenaline, Anne kicked with all her might, her arms straining with the effort as she propelled them towards the outcrops. The world around her seemed to blur as she reached the safety of terra firma. Anne hauled the injured diver onto the jagged rocks and climbed beside him. She immediately sent a flare beacon to signal the ship of their location. It wasn't long before the vessel cut through the waters and imposed itself upon the two survivors. The crew immediately retrieved and brought them aboard the ship. But even as they clung to the safety of the research vessel, Anne knew that their ordeal was far from over. The injured diver lay pale and motionless on the deck, his life hanging in the balance as Anne worked frantically to stabilize his condition. As the boat sped toward the safety of the shore, Anne's mind raced with a mix of adrenaline and concern. The diver lay unconscious beside her, his face pale and strained from the ordeal. She quickly assessed his injuries, applying pressure to the wound on his leg to stem the flow of blood. The wounded diver was lying still and pale on the deck, his life at risk. As the boat hurried towards the safety of the shore, Anne's thoughts were filled with a combination of adrenaline and worry. Speedily, she evaluated his wounds and put pressure on the gash on his leg to stop the bleeding. The research vessel raced toward the nearest port as the crew radioed for help and requested an ambulance to stand by at the port to swiftly transport the diver to a medical facility. Finally, the distant silhouette of the dock came into view. Anne breathed a sigh of relief as the ship pulled alongside the dock, eager hands reaching out to assist with the wounded diver. As they transferred him onto a stretcher, Anne whispered a silent prayer. She was thankful to be alive, but she was more thankful to be of help to a person in distress amidst forces of nature that no man can control. The air shimmered with the relentless summer heat of Western Australia's coastline. It was January 2011, a stolen weekend where worries melted away like ice cream in the sun. For Maya Bennett, fresh from the green chill of Tasmania, it was an escape into a world of endless blue. Her three best friends, boisterous Jess, easygoing Tim, and quiet, thoughtful Ryan, had lured her west with promises of sun-drenched beaches and a laid-back vibe miles away from their hectic city lives. Now they sprawled on their towels, laughter ringing over the crash of waves. This cove, tucked away and a long drive from the tourist haunts, was their slice of paradise. The water gleamed with a deceptively inviting turquoise hue, masking the depths below. Maya, still getting used to the mainland strength of the sun, loved the feel of warm sand between her toes, the salty breeze teasing her hair. She'd always preferred the mountains to the ocean. Growing up in the shadow of Cradle Mountain had fostered a love of rocky heights and cool forests, not the relentless rhythm of the tides or the sunburn already stinging her shoulders. But the ocean's endless horizon offered freedom she couldn't quite find on solid ground. The others were already heading for the water, their shouts playful over the sound of the surf. Maya, usually the cautious one, felt a surge of recklessness. This trip was about letting go and embracing warmth and spontaneity in a way that wasn't always easy for her. The water was shockingly cold, a delicious contrast to the day's heat. Tim challenged her to a race. Jess did her usual goofy cannonball, and Maya, laughing, let herself be pulled into their boisterous fun. This was what life was supposed to feel like. Simple joy, friendship, and the thrill of being young and untamed on this vast, wild coastline. But beneath the clear water, a dark shape moved. Great whites patrolled this ocean stretch, drawn further offshore by the seal colonies. It was a fact Maya had filed away alongside warnings about snakes and sunburn. This remote possibility barely flickered across her carefree mood. Maya noticed something odd about Ryan's behavior as she floated further out. He was treading water, but his usual easygoing expression had vanished, replaced by a tense stillness. A hint of unease tightened her carefree mood, and she called out to him. Instead of answering, Ryan turned and gestured for them all to head back to shore. His urgency was apparent, but the unthinkable happened before Maya could warn her friends. The change in the water was almost imperceptible initially, a slight ripple that went unnoticed by the laughing group. Then an eruption of water churned scarlet, and Jess's shriek pierced the air. One moment she was splashing playfully, the next, something massive yanked her under with horrifying force. Maya froze, her mind unable to process the sudden shift from paradise to nightmare. She saw a dark fin slicing through the water, shockingly close to shore. A great white, its monstrous form visible just below the surface. The realization hit her with the force of a physical blow as the predator circled back, drawn by the scent of blood and thrashing limbs. Tim, the closest to the attack zone, propelled himself furiously toward his friend, fueled by a desperate mix of courage and terror. Panic threatened to engulf Maya, but a primal instinct kicked in. Ryan was closest to shore, frantically doggy-paddling towards the safety of the sand. She screamed a wordless warning, her voice filled with a desperate urgency she'd never known. The shark, seemingly disoriented by the sudden chaos, gave them a precious few seconds. Tim reached Jess, now eerily still. He started pulling her back, every kick pushing them further from the predator's jaws. Maya scanned the bloody water, desperately seeking her friend. Where was Jess? Where was the shark? Had it lost interest, sated by its kill? Then a flash of white. The massive fish surged from the depths, its gaping maw a terrifying sight. Tim dragging Jess's dead weight was a pitifully slow target. Maya let out a scream, a futile, despairing sound. Time seemed to stretch into agonizing slow motion. She watched the shark's sleek gray form like a missile drawing nearer. She saw Tim's face etched with horror. But in that heart-stopping moment, something shifted. The shark, almost upon them, swerved with unnatural agility. Had it spotted easier prey? A flicker of movement, then a cry cut short as Ryan disappeared below the surface. Frantic, Maya scanned the waves, searching for any sign of her friend. But the ocean, so recently a playground, was now a scene of pure carnage. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the predator was gone, leaving a trail of crimson and floating debris as a grim testament to its passing. Maya dragged herself onto the sand, collapsing into the rough grains. Her whole body trembled, sobs racking her frame. Two of her friends, just gone. The idyllic beach now felt tainted with horror, the air still vibrating with screams and the sickening metallic scent of blood. Tim knelt beside her, his face drained of color, Jess's blood dripping from his hands. He held her gaze, his eyes filled with a chilling mix of despair and guilt. In the distance, sirens wailed, jarring in their world of shock and grief. Help arrived, statements were given, and survivors were comforted with empty words and too strong tea. But for those left behind, there was no comfort, no going back. The ocean, their brief paradise, had become a graveyard. The brutal reality of nature's power shattered their stolen weekend of laughter and warmth. Maya would carry the scars of this horrific day. The images, the guilt, the knowledge that life was precarious, even in the most beautiful places. In the end, the most dangerous predators didn't always lurk in deep water. Sometimes they swam unseen right beside you, shattering innocence with a single terrible strike. On a crisp morning in June 2015, the tranquil waters off the coast of South Africa set the stage for a dramatic and life-altering event. As the first light of day painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, a small fishing boat bobbed gently in the swells. Aboard were two friends and seasoned fishermen, Lucas van der Merwe and Samuel Botha, eagerly anticipating a successful day at sea. Lucas, 42, had always felt at home on the water. His deep respect for the ocean and its diverse inhabitants was well known among his peers. Among the marine life in these waters, the hammerhead shark was a species Lucas admired from afar. These sharks, characterized by their unique head shape, are formidable hunters, capable of reaching lengths up to 20 feet. known for their agility and extraordinary sensory capabilities. The day began with promise. The sea was calm, the fish were plentiful, and the air was filled with the sounds of cheerful banter. However, beneath the gentle waves unknown to Lucas and Samuel, a hammerhead shark was silently gliding, drawn closer to the surface by the commotion above. The turning point came as Lucas leaned over the boat to haul in a hefty catch. In an instant, the calm was broken by a violent eruption of water. The hammerhead shark, mistaking Lucas for its prey, struck with terrifying force. The shark's jaws clamped down on Lucas's arm with lightning speed, dragging him overboard into the churning waters. Samuel, witnessing the attack, reacted instinctively, his mind racing to save his friend. The shark's razor-sharp teeth inflicted deep, life-threatening wounds to Lucas's arm and stomach, turning the water red. On shore, the unfolding horror caught the attention of bystanders. What had been a peaceful morning quickly turned into a nightmare. Lucas's desperate cries for help resonated over the waves while Samuel struggled to rescue him from the shark's deadly grasp. A nearby fishing boat, alerted by the commotion, raced to their aid. The crew worked in unison, battling to fend off the shark and pull the critically injured Lucas to safety. As they sped toward the shore, Lucas lay motionless, his survival hanging by a thread. The shark attack sent shockwaves throughout the local fishing community, reminding them of the ever-present dangers of the sea. Emergency services responded swiftly, dispatching medical teams and investigating the harrowing incident. As Lucas was rushed to the nearest hospital in a fight for his life, the authorities alerted other vessels and beachgoers in the area, emphasizing the need for vigilance in these unpredictable waters. The hammerhead shark, the catalyst of this traumatic event, remained elusive and influential in the ocean. Its encounter with Lucas was a stark reminder of nature's untamed and formidable force, leaving physical and emotional scars on those affected and the wider community. The ambulance sped through the winding coastal roads, sirens wailing, as medical personnel worked tirelessly to stabilize Lucas van der Merwe. Inside, Lucas lay in a critical state, his injuries a stark testament to the ferocity of the hammerhead shark's attack. Samuel Botha, though physically unharmed, was shaken to his core, his mind replaying the harrowing moments on a loop. At the hospital, Lucas's condition was deemed critical. Surgeons worked for hours addressing the severe wounds to his arm and stomach. The local community, many of whom knew Lucas as a skilled and respected fisherman, waited anxiously for any news. His family rushed to his side and held a vigil, hoping for a miracle. As news of the attack spread, the small fishing town was enveloped in a somber mood. The incident served as a grim reminder of the risks that came with their livelihoods. The hammerhead shark, often seen as a symbol of strength and resilience in the marine world, had shown its other face: unpredictability and danger. Having dealt with shark incidents in the past, the authorities acted swiftly. Beaches were temporarily closed and patrols were increased. The incident sparked a broader conversation about safety measures and the coexistence with the ocean's predators. Experts emphasized the importance of awareness and respect for marine life, noting that such attacks, while rare, are often a result of unintentional human provocation. Back at the hospital, Lucas's battle continued. His family and friends rallied around him, their support unwavering. The local community organized fundraisers and blood donation drives, their efforts a testament to the strong bonds within the fishing town. Days turned into weeks, and Lucas's condition slowly improved. The road to recovery was long and fraught with challenges. He had to undergo multiple surgeries and extensive rehabilitation. The physical scars would heal over time, but the psychological impact of the attack lingered. Samuel Botha, haunted by the memories of that day, became an advocate for shark awareness and safety in the community. He organized workshops and collaborated with marine biologists to educate the public about shark behavior and the importance of conservation efforts. The attack profoundly impacted how the locals interacted with the ocean. Measures were taken to better educate residents and tourists about marine life and respecting their habitat. This tragic event catalyzed positive change, fostering a deeper understanding and respect for the delicate balance between man and nature. In time, Lucas returned to the sea, his passion undimmed but now tempered with a newfound respect and caution. With all its beauty and mystery, the ocean became a source of livelihood and wonder for the townspeople. They knew that beneath its waves lay magnificent and formidable creatures, a reminder of nature's wild and untamed spirit. The story of Lucas van der Merwe's encounter with the hammerhead shark became a part of the town's lore, a narrative of survival, resilience, and the enduring strength of the human spirit in the face of nature's raw power. Rusty Ludlow, 48 years old and an experienced deep-sea diver, lives in the coastal city of Durban, South Africa, on the beautiful shores of the Indian Ocean. After spending his whole life traveling the sea, Rusty has strong connections to Durban. Raised in this maritime center since birth, his enduring interest in delving into the depths of the ocean has been a lifelong endeavor. The busy harbor of the city was filled with hustle and bustle, with fishing vessels and cargo ships coming and going, their crews getting ready for voyages across the ocean. However, among the busy city life, there was a peaceful and beautiful aspect to discover on Durban's shoreline. Untouched shores extended beyond the horizon, with their shining sands calling out to both beachgoers and surfers. Further out from the coastline, the mysterious depths of the Indian Ocean's dark blue waters contained countless secrets, just waiting to be explored by the courageous few willing to explore them. In the summer of 2000, Rusty decided to go on a solo adventure to investigate an enigmatic underwater cave system near the shore. It was a journey he had been longing for, an opportunity to reveal the hidden mysteries of the ocean depths. Rusty experienced a blend of both anticipation and anxiety as he readied himself for his journey. Despite being aware of the risks hidden in the abyss, his curiosity propelled him to venture onward, compelling him to expand the limits of discovery. Rusty carefully inspected his gear, making sure his oxygen tank was completely filled, and his diving suit was in excellent shape. Before heading into the ocean, he carefully placed all his equipment into his reliable dive bag, making sure everything was packed correctly. Rusty plunged underwater as the bright sun casts a shimmering glow on the water's surface above. While he went deeper down, the sunlight started to disappear and was soon replaced by the unsettling darkness of the underwater realm. The cave system's entrance stood out in front, casting a dark shadow in the deep blue waters. Rusty experienced a mix of excitement and fear as he neared the unknown, pulling him further into its depths. Deep within the cave, Rusty encountered a complex network of tunnels and rooms, with each one becoming increasingly enigmatic. The absolute quiet was overwhelming, only interrupted by his breathing and occasional water droplets falling from the cave roof. Rusty proceeded with caution, staying alert as he maneuvered through the winding passages. As he was moving forward, Rusty sensed movement shifting in his peripheral vision. He spun around, feeling his heart race in his chest as he scanned the darkness for any indication of danger. However, there was only a spiral of silt below the water, indicating activity in the vicinity. Rusty ignored the feeling of unease, thinking it was just nerves as he ventured deeper into the cave. Rusty was completely clueless that a 12-foot-long tiger shark was lurking in the shadows, its icy gaze fixed on him with predatory intent. Tiger sharks were well known for their relentless appetite and fearless attitude. These relentless predators would eat anything in their path. While Rusty moved through the cave, he couldn't get rid of the sensation of someone watching him. Each shadow appeared to contain a concealed peril, every echo a possible risk. Moving fast, he hurriedly searched for an escape route through the maze-like corridors, his heart pounding. Suddenly, a massive tiger shark appeared before him, effortlessly gliding through the water with deadly precision. Rusty came to a sudden halt, his breath catching in his throat as he locked eyes with the predator's cold, unyielding gaze. In a sudden, quick movement, the shark quickly moved forward, snapping its jaws closed just a few inches away from Rusty's legs. With his heart racing, Rusty kicked desperately to create a gap between him and the persistent predator. The shark's teeth lightly touched Rusty's diving suit, creating rough tears and causing blood to form small clouds of crimson in the water. Rusty felt a sudden jolt of pain in his leg, but he ignored it and concentrated on getting away from the danger approaching from behind. However, the shark kept going without stopping, its strong tail pushing it forward with unstoppable force. Rusty could sense the surge of water as the shark approached, its sharp teeth shining in the cave's faint light. Desperate to stay alive, Rusty quickly entered a tight tunnel, feeling the rough walls scraping against his diving gear and his skin as he passed through. The shark swam closely behind, its huge body occupying the tunnel, creating a feeling of suffocating fear. Rusty's heart pounded with fear as he dove further into the shadows, feeling his lungs ache for oxygen. The tunnel appeared to go on endlessly, curving and winding without a visible end. At the moment he believed he couldn't continue, Rusty noticed a dim shine of light in the distance. With a sense of renewed hope, he continued to propel himself forward despite his muscles protesting against the overwhelming exhaustion. At last, Rusty made his way out of the tunnel into a spacious chamber, the journey feeling endless. Struggling to breathe, he frantically scanned the area, seeking any indication of the shark. However, much to his comfort, the creature was not visible anywhere. Rusty's heart kept pounding in his chest as he emerged back to the surface, his mind reeling from the adrenaline-fueled intense experience. Emerging from the water, he took a deep breath of the clean air, experiencing a wave of relief washing over him. Upon returning to land, Rusty fell onto the sandy shore, his body shaking from both fatigue and relief. He had braved the perils of the ocean and triumphed, a story he would remember for the rest of his life. Some men chase storms. Liam Carter chased the ocean secrets. Not the tourist trap reefs with their gaudy fish and selfie-taking snorkelers, but the places where light faltered and the creatures of the deep held dominion. Places like the Devil's Lair, a maze of underwater caves off the coast of New South Wales. It was June 2005, a Tuesday stolen from his work as a marine biologist and a perfect morning for a solo dive to fuel his obsession. Mornings in the lab were a dull ache. Surrounded by students buzzing with youthful enthusiasm, he felt a pang of the forgotten adventurer within. His work wasn't behind a microscope. It was out there, where the rules of nature were written in salt and blood, where the line between predator and prey blurred with the currents. Cave diving was his drug. That weightless freedom mixed with a shot of pure, heart-pounding terror. It was where he felt truly alive. Sarah, his girlfriend with her sensible job and worried frown, never entirely understood. He'd tried to explain, watching her eyes cloud over with concern he couldn't wholly dismiss. He'd tell her it wasn't about defying death. It was about feeling more alive than he ever did on dry land. She loved him, honestly. But some part of him, the part the ocean understood, couldn't be tamed by quiet dinners and promises of safety. This morning, while his colleagues prepped for lectures, he slipped away. The salty tang of the ocean greeted him like an old friend. Gearing up was a ritual, checking the seals, listening to the hiss of the regulator, and methodically preparing a way to calm the thrill coursing through his veins. The Devil's Lair had a reputation for a reason. Tiger sharks, nasty buggers with teeth like steak knives, patrolled these waters. Inside the caves, they were less likely. Still, the knowledge lurked beneath his bravado like a riptide, the possibility of a sleek shadow emerging from the darkness. The first descent was always a baptism. His city skin, softened by too much time under fluorescent lights, prickled with the change in pressure. Down here, his dive computer was his lifeline, beeping out the dwindling oxygen, his only guard against the silent, crushing death of an empty tank. His light pierced the gloom, dancing off the smooth rock walls. The lair was a marvel, each passage carved by time, by the relentless power of the ocean. A school of startled fish shimmered past, nervous prey echoing his heightened senses. The further he ventured, the deeper the thrill. Out here he was an explorer, a modern Magellan facing the unknown, armed with only his tanks and a thirst for the unexplored. The first hint wasn't a sight but a change of pressure. Liam felt something off in the water, a small change that made his skin tingle. He stopped, shining his light into the dark. Then he caught sight of movement at the corner of his eye, a quick glimpse of a powerful tail vanishing around a cave corner. Tiger shark. His heart hammered in his chest. Panic threatened to overwhelm him, but years of diving kicked in. "Stay calm," his inner voice commanded. "Assess, don't react." The shark was big, longer than him, but here, in the dark confines, its size was a disadvantage. The cave was his territory now, the twisty passages a maze he knew better than any predator. He pressed himself against a rocky outcropping and waited. There, it circled back, likely drawn by the disturbance in the water and the beam of his light. Its pale belly gleamed in the momentary illumination, rows of jagged teeth visible in its gaping maw. Liam held his breath, willing himself to become invisible. The shark cruised past, slow and deliberate, its cold eyes mere inches from where he hid. It was a territorial display, a warning. This was its kingdom. A surge of adrenaline flooded Liam's system, a strange mix of terror and the thrill of facing such raw power. He had to get out of there, but retreating the way he'd come was out of the question. The shark would be waiting. The cave system might offer an alternative route. Taking a calculated risk, Liam ventured deeper into the maze, his light cutting a path through the darkness. Time was his enemy now, each breath taking him closer to the point where his tanks would be empty, and his lungs would scream for air. His computer beeped an urgent warning, its flashing numbers a grim countdown. If he didn't surface within minutes, no rescue would be possible. He knew the stats, knew how quickly a dive could turn deadly. He thought of Sarah, her face etched in his memory, and the familiar wave of anger mixed with guilt surged through him. He'd been reckless and selfish. Another shift in pressure, stronger than before, and the smell of fish in the water grew stronger. The shark had returned, circling closer. Liam squeezed into a crevice, trying to become one with the rock, praying the shark would pass him by. He wasn't a meal, he was an intruder. Sharks didn't attack for fun, did they? A jolt ran through him as something massive bumped the rock face. The shark knew he was there. A flurry of sand and silt reduced visibility to nothing. Fear choked him as blind panic threatened to take over. He couldn't die here, not in this dark, water-filled tomb. Fighting down the terror, he forced himself to focus. Think. Then an idea, desperate yet his only chance. Pulling a dive knife from his belt, he carved deliberate scratches on the rock, sending vibrations through the water. It was a long shot. Maybe the shark would sense this as coming from a rival, another predator to be wary of. Minutes passed, each agonizingly slow and marked by the beep of his dive computer. Then, miraculously, the pressure eased. The shark was gone, perhaps lured away by the deception. Liam, weak with relief, propelled himself towards the surface. His lungs burned and spots danced before his eyes, but he was driven by a frantic primal need to breathe. Bursting through the surface into the sunlight felt like a rebirth. He gasped for air, his body trembling. The ordeal wasn't over. He had to get back to shore before his tanks were entirely depleted. Still, in this moment of survival, he felt a fierce, undeniable gratitude for every breath. Liam clung to a nearby rock formation, his heart hammering a frantic rhythm against his ribs. He had cheated death, but the victory was fragile. His air was nearly gone, and the boat that would have been a safeguard was probably miles away. With a shaky hand, Liam activated his emergency surface marker sausage, a bright orange inflatable tube that signaled distress. It bobbed on the surface, a beacon in the vast blue. Then hope flickered on the horizon. A fishing boat drawn by the marker changed course and churned towards him. He weakly waved his arms, praying they saw him. Minutes stretched into eternity, but the boat closed the distance. Strong hands pulled him aboard, hauling him back from the watery depths. As they checked his vitals and wrapped him in warm blankets, Liam breathed in relief. He was alive, scarred, changed, but alive. The news of his near-death experience spread like wildfire. The local papers dubbed him the cave diver who cheated death. Sarah rushed to his side, her relief laced with anger. He held her close, apologizing for the fear he'd caused. Liam continued to dive, but now he was with a team, with a buddy, and with a healthy fear that kept him sharp. The thrill was still there, but tempered by a newfound appreciation for life, for the salty kiss of the sea on his face, and for the woman who worried but loved him enough to let him chase his dreams, even the ones that danced with danger. The morning of August 5, 2009, it dawned bright and clear over the pristine beaches of Emerald Bay, Hawaii. For newlyweds Jason and Lily Thompson, it was the beginning of what was supposed to be a blissful honeymoon. The couple, hailing from Sydney, Australia, had chosen Emerald Bay for its spectacular scenery and rich marine life. Both avid swimmers and nature enthusiasts, they were excited to explore the underwater world of this tropical paradise. Emerald Bay, known for its lush landscapes and diverse ecosystems, is also home to many marine wildlife, including the formidable hammerhead shark. These sharks, easily identifiable by their unique head shape, are common in Hawaiian waters. and are generally considered less dangerous to humans than other species like the great white shark. However, their presence in the ocean waters around Emerald Bay was a well-known fact and a source of both fascination and apprehension for visitors. Jason, 28, a marine biologist, and Lily, 26, a photographer, were particularly keen on snorkeling in the Molokini crater, a partially submerged volcanic crater known for its clear waters and abundant sea life. They had heard stories of hammerhead sightings in the area, but were reassured by the low incidence of shark attacks in Hawaii. The ocean's azure waters were inviting as they started their snorkeling expedition. The couple, equipped with their snorkeling gear, eagerly plunged into the sea holding hands. They marveled at the vibrant coral reefs teeming with colorful fish, unaware of the danger lurking in the depths below. Unbeknownst to Jason and Lily, a large hammerhead shark was patrolling the area. The shark, possibly attracted by the turbulence created by the swimmers or mistaking them for prey, began to approach the unsuspecting couple. The moment's tranquility was abruptly shattered when the shark, with its distinctive silhouette, made a beeline towards Jason. In a split second, the hammerhead clamped its powerful jaws around Jason's neck and stomach, pulling him under the water. Witnessing the attack, Lily let out a scream muffled by the ocean. The beach, usually a hub of serene activity, was thrown into chaos as nearby swimmers and lifeguards heard Lily's cries for help. In a desperate fight for his life, Jason struggled against the shark's grip. His attempts to fend off the predator were met with the shark's relentless assault. As the struggle ensued, blood clouded the water, and Jason's chances of survival seemed to dwindle. Lily, in a state of shock, could do nothing but watch in horror as the shark was mauling the love of her life. After what seemed like an eternity, the shark released its grip, leaving Jason severely wounded and floating in the water. With the help of a nearby swimmer, Lily managed to pull Jason to the safety of the shore. On the beach, lifeguards and medical personnel rushed to attend to Jason, who was now unconscious and bleeding profusely. The severity of his injuries was apparent. The shark had inflicted deep lacerations on his neck and stomach. The emergency response team worked frantically to stabilize Jason before transporting him to the nearest hospital. Lily, traumatized and in tears, accompanied him, praying for his survival. The news of the shark attack spread quickly through Emerald Bay, sending shockwaves through the local community and the tourism industry. The beach was immediately closed, and authorities began investigating the incident. Marine experts and shark behaviorists were called to assess the situation and determine the reasons behind the shark's unusual aggression. Speculations arose about the shark's behavior, with some suggesting it could have been provoked or that it mistook Jason for its natural prey. As Jason fought for his life in the hospital, Lily remained by his side. Her dream honeymoon turned into a harrowing ordeal. The couple's story became a stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of the wild and the inherent risks of venturing into the habitat of powerful marine predators, like the hammerhead shark. In the hospital, the situation was grave. Jason's injuries from the hammerhead shark attack were critical. Surgeons worked tirelessly, fighting to save his life and repair the extensive damage. Still reeling from the shock, Lily waited anxiously, her heart heavy with fear and uncertainty. The couple's families, informed of the tragedy, rushed to Emerald Bay to be by their side. As Jason lay in recovery, battling through the aftermath of the attack, the incident sparked a flurry of activity back at the beach. Authorities cordoned off the area, and marine biologists began to gather data to understand the shark's behavior. Divers were dispatched to monitor shark movements, and warning signs were erected along the beach, advising swimmers and snorkelers of the potential dangers. The community of Emerald Bay, usually bustling with tourists, felt the ripple effects. Beachgoers were now more cautious, and local businesses noted a drop in water-related activities. The attack brought a new awareness of the risks associated with ocean activities, even in a paradise like Emerald Bay. Back in the hospital, Jason's condition stabilized, but the road to recovery was long. He had lost a significant amount of blood, and the injuries to his neck and stomach were severe. Despite the challenges, his spirit remained unbroken. Supported by Lily, his family, and a team of dedicated healthcare professionals, Jason began the slow healing process. Lily, while relieved that Jason had survived, grappled with guilt and trauma. She replayed the attack over and over in her mind, wishing she could have done something to prevent it. Counseling sessions were arranged for her, helping her to process the traumatic experience and cope with the emotional aftermath. The incident raised meaningful discussions about wildlife encounters and the need for increased awareness and safety measures. Experts emphasized the importance of respecting wildlife and understanding the risks involved in entering their habitats. The attack was a harsh reminder that, while beautiful, nature can also be unpredictable and dangerous. Meanwhile, the hammerhead shark, the perpetrator of the attack, remained a mysterious figure in the ocean's depths. Some locals viewed the shark with fear, while others saw it as an integral part of the marine ecosystem. The debate about human-wildlife coexistence and conservation continued with no easy answers. Months passed, and Jason's condition improved. The couple's ordeal had garnered attention worldwide, sparking conversations about shark behavior, conservation, and the balance between human activity and wildlife protection. Jason, once a vibrant and active individual, had to come to terms with the life-altering consequences of the attack. His journey of physical rehabilitation was arduous, but his determination was unwavering. As Jason and Lily returned home, their lives forever changed. They carried a deeper appreciation for life and a newfound respect for the natural world. Their story, a blend of terror and triumph, would continue to resonate with all who heard it, serving as a poignant reminder of the delicate balance between humans and the mighty creatures of the sea. In March 1995, a group of friends gathered for a beach bonfire celebration along the beautiful garden route in South Africa, where laughter, crackling fire, and clinking beer bottles filled the air on a warm summer evening. They had been looking forward to this evening with excitement for weeks, a chance to unwind and enjoy each other's company in the peaceful coastal environment. Tony Reeves, one of the partygoers, had a passion for life that was only equaled by his love of drinking. As the evening progressed and the beverages continued to be served, Tony realized he was getting more drunk by the minute. The surroundings appeared blurred and unsteady as he walked towards the ocean to take a dip and relieve himself. He couldn't even walk in a straight line as he pressed on until his friends' laughter faded into the background. Tony's friends observed with playful smiles as he bravely entered the water, displaying unsteady movements and filling the night with his laughter. They shouted words of encouragement, cheering him on as he vanished into the ocean's dark depths. However, as Tony ventured further into the water, he began to feel a sense of discomfort settling over him, momentarily bringing him back to a serious state. The chill of the ocean was a sharp difference from the heat of the fire nearby, causing him to feel a shiver run down his back. The shift in temperature was a welcome feeling as Tony continued forward with his senses dulled and judgment clouded by alcohol. While Tony was swimming and relaxing, a huge shadow appeared from the deep waters, a dark outline that appeared to form out of the darkness. Tony's laughter abruptly stopped in his throat, frozen in place, with his heart thumping loudly in his chest. As the shadow expanded, it eventually materialized into a 13-foot great white shark, attracted by the disturbance and the smell of urine in the water. Without hesitation, the shark quickly thrust itself forward, clamping its enormous jaws around Tony's leg with bone-crushing force. The sound of pure agony and Tony's scream cut through the night air. Tony's friends frantically tried to understand the chaotic situation unfolding on the beach. They were filled with panic and fear as they witnessed in terror the shark pulling Tony deeper into the ocean, its sharp teeth cutting through his flesh and bone with ruthless precision. Following the initial shock, a frantic rush ensued as everyone on the beach hurried towards the water to assist Tony. They grasped the urgency, realizing they couldn't simply stand by as their friend faced the ruthless predator. Fueled by adrenaline, they sprang into action, their minds racing amidst the overwhelming panic. Alert and quick-thinking, Carl Sanders wasted no time in springing into action. Scanning the beach for any useful tool, he spotted the emergency kit they had brought along. Carl hurriedly seized an underwater flare before rushing to the water to assist in the rescue. At the same time, Bobby Donovan and Ricky Stewart, known for being the best swimmers in the group, took immediate action. Recognizing the severity of the situation, they were ready to take any required steps to save Tony. Along with Bobby and Ricky, Carl hurried into the water, firmly holding onto the flare, his hands shaking with a combination of fear and determination. Using a steady breath, he lit the flare and plunged it into the water, temporarily confusing the shark with its strong brightness. At that critical moment, the predator let go of Tony, giving him the opportunity to escape. Seizing the opportunity, Bobby and Ricky swiftly sprang into action, their powerful strokes propelling them toward Tony. They reached him just as the shark turned back, its primal instincts driving it to pursue the flare as it drifted away from the group. Bobby and Ricky, fueled by desperation, grabbed Tony's limp body with all their might, straining their muscles to drag him back to the shore. The group moved at a frantic pace, knowing well of the constant threat of the shark lurking just below the surface. However, they didn't give in. Their thoughts concentrated entirely on one objective: bringing Tony back to the shore safely. The group on the shore quickly moved to assist in pulling him onto the sandy beach as they arrived safely at the shoreline. His leg injuries were so serious that the flesh was torn and mangled beyond any chance of recognition. Blood mixed with salt water, leaving behind a gruesome path that dyed the coastline in crimson hues. Even when chaos and panic surrounded them, Tony's friends took quick and decisive action, promptly using makeshift tourniquets on his injured leg in a frantic effort to stop the bleeding. Throughout the journey to the hospital, Tony grappled with a mix of agony and confusion. Hours seemed to stretch on as he underwent surgery. With skilled precision, the doctors worked tirelessly to salvage his leg. Finally, a weary surgeon emerged with the solemn news: Tony's leg had been surgically amputated below the knee. With the constant support of his friends, Tony started his journey towards recovery. Even with the challenges he faced, he maintained a resilient attitude. Relearning how to walk with a prosthetic limb, he proceeded cautiously, supported by the care and determination of his friends. Tony came out of his harrowing experience as a resilient survivor, discovering inner strength and a strong bond with his friends, who demonstrated their loyalty by continuing to support him, even at the expense of their safety. The night air held the salty tang of the open ocean. Off the coast of Victoria, where the Bay Strait churned with restless energy, a lone boat bobbed under the vast expanse of the night sky. It was August 2009, and for Elias Walker, this was where the world made sense. Elias wasn't a weekend angler seeking easy trophies for bragging rights. He was one of the old breeds, with a weathered face lined with more stories than smiles. Fishing wasn't a hobby for him. It was in his blood, a legacy from his grandfather and generations before. This was the hour he loved best, the quiet broken only by the waves, the distant cries of seabirds, and the comforting rumble of his boat's engine. He'd left the crowded docks far behind, seeking the deep waters where the considerable fish lurked. The riskier the spot, the greater the reward. Some called him crazy, a man pushing his luck too far. He just shrugged. He was against nature, and nobody ever won against the ocean. As he said his lines tonight, Eli felt a tingle of anticipation. This wasn't just about putting food on the table. His wife Sarah and their 2 boys depended on his catch, but that wasn't what drove him deep down. He craved the fight, the thrill of pitting himself against unseen monsters lurking below. He knew the dangers, the sudden storms, the rogue waves, the creatures most didn't believe existed in these waters. Tiger sharks were one of those creatures. They favored warmer climates, but fishermen whispered stories and sightings of solitary beasts venturing south in search of prey. The tales hinted at myth mixed with terror, fishermen disappearing without a trace and battles fought and lost in the darkness. It was a fear Eli shoved into the deepest recesses of his mind. Tonight he was focused on the task at hand. He knew his lines, his knots, his boat, and his own strength. His first few catches were decent. Snapper, a plump flathead, good eating, good money at the market. But Eli was restless, hungry for something more. Shifting to a sturdier rod, heavier bait, he cast out and sank back against the railing. The distant lights of the shore were a faint shimmer on the horizon. The time he was dissolved into the boat's rocking and the sea's endless rhythm. It was a trance-like, meditative, until his line tightened with a force that jolted him from his thoughts. The line whipped from his hand, sizzling with friction and digging into his skin. Eli braced himself against the railing, shock turning to grim determination. This was no ordinary fish. This was the fight he'd craved, and it might just be the one that killed him. Hauling back on the rod was like pulling against a truck. The unseen creature on the other end surged and dived, a monstrous force straining his line to the breaking point. It was too powerful to haul on board. Instead, he'd have to tire it out, let it thrash, and fight until it weakened. It was a dangerous gamble, but Eli had gambled with his life before. Hours slipped by in a haze of agony and constant battle. Liam's hands were blistered, his muscles ached, but he persevered with the stubborn resilience typical of his kind. Suddenly, the creature broke through the surface, its silver form flashing. Eli's stomach churned. Tiger shark. Its huge eyes glinted in the moonlight, easily twice the size Liam had ever encountered. He hadn't hooked this monster. It had hooked him. One wrong move and it would drag him overboard and into those gaping jaws lined with hundreds of razor-sharp teeth. He cursed himself for his recklessness, for chasing this fight too far. Sarah's worried face flashed in his mind, then the laughter of his boys on their last fishing trip. If he died tonight, they'd be left with nothing but an empty boat and whispers of a man lost to the sea. The shark lunged once more, closer now, a terrifying show of strength and pure malice. It was assessing him, not just as prey, but as a challenger to its domain. Eli knew he couldn't cut the line. The thrashing hook could catch on his clothes and become a deadly weight. He braced himself, waiting for the next surge. It came with brutal force. The shark tore the rod from his hands, hurtling him towards the edge with bone-jarring force. Just as his torso hit the railing, something snagged at his leg. Then searing pain. The shark had tangled in the line, sinking its teeth into his calf with a vice-like grip. Instinct took over. Eli grabbed the rope, hauling himself upwards. Pain seared through him, but he clung on, his weight creating tension that pulled the thrashing shark partially aboard. In frenzied desperation, he snatched up a discarded tackle knife. The next few minutes were a blur. Out of its element, the shark snapped and thrashed, creating chaos. Eli aimed blindly, stabbing at its thick belly again and again. The water around them turned red, a sickening mix of seawater and blood. Then it was over. The shark, its relentless energy finally depleted, went still. Eli collapsed, trembling, his leg throbbing, his breath ragged gasps against the quiet lap of waves. Only as the first gray light of dawn crept over the ocean did he cut himself free from the line and limp towards the controls. The boat lurched forward, leaving the shark carcass bobbing in its wake. Eli didn't look back. Instead, he steered towards the shore, the pain fading against determination. He had survived, but the experience would mark him forever. Once his playground, the ocean now held a darkness he hadn't known before. That night, he made a silent promise. No more solo excursions. No more seeking out the monsters of the deep. Some challenges weren't worth the price, and a man should know when the sea had won the round. In the year 2010, a man named Adam and his beloved wife, Ava, lived in the vibrant and culturally rich country of Mexico. Adam, a dedicated manager in a bustling company, found himself engrossed in the demands of his professional life. Despite the challenges, the couple shared a profound passion for the seaside, picnics, and swimming. As Adam toiled through his demanding workdays, Ava, his lovely wife, often found herself at home with idle hours. This sometimes led to shifts in her behavior as she navigated the solitude in her husband's absence. The couple's connection, however, remained anchored in their shared love for the sea, picnics, and the joy of swimming. One fateful day, Adam's company declared a much-needed holiday, offering a respite from the burdens of work. Excited about the prospect of spending quality time together, Adam shared his plan with Ava during a dinner conversation. Ava's eyes lit up with excitement as she eagerly joined in the preparations for a seaside adventure. They decided on a beautiful location on the Mexican coast, and their plans quickly took shape. With the date set for their getaway, Adam and Ava began the countdown to their much-anticipated break. They packed their bags with essentials, stocked up on food and drinks for the picnic, and ensured they had the perfect swimming attire. Ava, in particular, was thrilled at the prospect of a new adventure and enthusiastically documented their preparations. The day of the trip dawned with clear skies and palpable excitement. After a hearty breakfast, Adam loaded their belongings into the car, and the couple set out on their journey. The atmosphere in the car was filled with music, laughter, and the anticipation of creating cherished memories together. Ava captured the moments with her camera, preserving the joyous scenes of their journey. They arrived at the seaside location to find people and families enjoying the sand, sea, and sun. Adam, ever the planner, selected a perfect spot for their picnic, while Ava continued to document the unfolding moments. The couple reveled in the simple pleasures of good food, refreshing drinks, and the company of each other. As the day unfolded, Adam decided to take a refreshing swim in the sea. Many others on the beach followed suit, changing into their swimwear and immersing themselves in the cooling waters. A sense of relaxation and joy permeated the air as people relished the freedom and tranquility the seaside offered. Meanwhile, Ava, feeling the urge to experience the sea more intimately, decided to venture into deeper waters. Unbeknownst to her, a chilling presence lurked beneath the surface. As she relieved herself in the deep water, 3 colossal tiger sharks, the apex predators of the ocean, sensed her presence. With their keen instincts, the sharks observed the human activity above the water. As Ava turned to make her way back to the shore, she was met with the shocking sight of 3 tiger sharks swimming toward her. Panic and fear set in as she realized the peril she was in. Ava swam frantically toward safety with all her strength, but the sharks were faster. One of the predators caught her leg in its powerful jaws, causing her to cry out in pain. Blood tainted the water as the sharks continued their assault on her body. The horrifying scene unfolded just beyond the view of the unsuspecting beachgoers. Adam, sensing something amiss, turned his attention to the water. The color of the sea had changed, and a sense of foreboding washed over him. He wasted no time, swiftly diving into the depths to rescue his wife. As he approached, he witnessed the brutal attack on Ava by the 3 tiger sharks. Undeterred by the danger, Adam reached Ava's side, his heart pounding with fear and determination. Despite sustaining minor injuries to his arm, he managed to hoist Ava's injured and bleeding body out of the water. The sharks, momentarily distracted, allowed the couple a narrow window of escape. With Ava in his arms, Adam swam back to the safety of the shore. The onlookers, now aware of the tragedy that had unfolded, rushed to their aid. The beach was overcome with a mix of shock, horror, and sympathy as they witnessed the aftermath of the shark attack. Efforts were made to get Ava to the nearest hospital, but tragically her injuries were too severe. The doctors, with heavy hearts, delivered the devastating news of Ava's passing to Adam. Unbelieving and grief-stricken, Adam struggled to come to terms with the sudden and tragic loss of his beloved wife. The news of the shark attack spread rapidly, capturing the attention of the media. The incident served as a chilling reminder of the dangers that lurk beneath the serene surface of the sea. Adam, grappling with the trauma and loss, became a symbol of resilience as he faced the painful reality of life without Ava. The memory of that fateful day remained etched in Adam's mind, a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the unexpected turns it can take. The beach, formerly a place of happiness and relaxation, changed into a somber one where the memories of a tragedy that had irrevocably changed Adam's life were still present. As time passed, Adam carried the weight of his grief, finding strength in the memories of the happy moments he shared with Ava. The ocean, once a source of joy for the couple, now held a bittersweet significance, a reminder of the love they shared and the tragedy that unfolded beneath its waves. The stunning Table Mountain in Cape Town was illuminated by the morning sun, casting a magical view over the busy city. Situated on the rugged coast of South Africa, Cape Town was a city that juxtaposed towering skyscrapers with the wild beauty of nature. Michaela Taylor, a young surfer whose essence reflected the wild ocean, discovered a feeling of belonging in the vibrant streets and lively shores of her urban environment. She saw Cape Town as more than simply a city. It represented a certain way of life, a location where she could fully embrace the ocean's rhythm. While on her way to her usual spot for surfing, Michaela was amazed by the beautiful scenery around her. She gazed at the expanse of the Atlantic Ocean's blue waters ahead of her, reflecting the morning sun while seagulls echoed in the distant salty air. Arriving at the secluded cove where she enjoyed surfing, Michaela experienced a surge of excitement. The waves in this location were known for their strong power and determined nature, and Michaela enjoyed the challenge they presented. With her trusty surfboard by her side, Michaela headed out into the pristine waters, experiencing the refreshing touch of the sea surrounding her. With eager eyes, she scanned the horizon in search of the ideal wave to ride, her heart filled with anticipation and pounding. However, as Michaela surfed on top of a huge wave towards the beach, her feeling of complete happiness was ruined by a sudden motion below her. A chilling fear ran down Michaela's back as a sinister shadow lurked below the water's surface. Before she could react, the bull shark swiftly surged upwards, its large mouth snapping just inches from her dangling feet. Michaela felt her heart racing with frantic energy as she paddled away quickly, sensing the surge of adrenaline in her bloodstream. Bull sharks were well known for their aggressive behavior, often seen swimming in the waters of Cape Town, hunting for food. They are top predators, able to cause significant harm with just one bite due to their strong jaws and sharp teeth. While attempting to evade the relentless predator, Michaela felt a sudden pain in her leg when the shark's teeth broke through her skin. She screamed in pain and flailed wildly, trying to escape its grasp. The shark's teeth ripped her wetsuit apart easily, causing deep wounds on her leg that bled into the water in crimson trails. Michaela struggled to remain alert as her vision became hazy with pain, her thoughts overwhelmed by the suddenness of the assault. Michaela gathered up all her energy to grab her surfboard, struggling with the built-in electronic shark repellent device as she did so. She quickly activated a switch, sending a strong electric pulse that shocked the shark's sensitive receptors, making it let go of her leg. Struggling to breathe, Michaela kicked fiercely towards the top, her wounded leg leaving a trail of blood in the water. However, the shark was not willing to surrender without a fight. Driven by an innate instinct, it circled to launch another assault, never losing sight of its injured victim. Michaela resisted with all her remaining energy, using her surfboard as a makeshift shield against the unending attack. Repeatedly, the shark attacked her, its mouth closing just inches away from her. As time went by, Michaela's injuries worsened, causing a searing pain to spread through her body. The salt water entering her wounds caused increasing pain. The sharp teeth of the shark caused deep puncture injuries in her leg, cutting through muscle and sinew. Blood mixed with ocean water, forming a red cloud that surrounded the surfer's battered form. Michaela's cries resonated through the water, a chilling mixture of agony and terror that traveled through the vast emptiness of the ocean. The woman sensed the shark's warm breath on her body, its innate craving pushing it nearer to its injured target. However, Michaela persisted in not giving in to the darkness that loomed over her, determined not to be consumed by it. Focused on staying alive, she used all her remaining strength to keep the shark away, feeling her muscles burn with fatigue. Michaela's strength was gradually waning. Placing all her faith in the shark repellent, she activated the device again, aiming to scare off the aggressive shark. Just as the shark was about to strike once more, it abruptly changed course and swam away. Perplexed, Michaela took advantage of the situation by getting on her board and beginning to paddle towards the shore. With a new resolve, she delved into her innermost being, tapping into the final bit of energy she possessed. Using all her strength, Michaela paddled vigorously, feeling the burning sensation in her arms as she pushed herself towards safety. She felt relief and triumph as the shore neared steadily with every passing moment. Finally, after a long time, Michaela felt the comforting feeling of sand under her feet as she made her way onto the safety of the beach. Sinking onto the gentle sand, she let out a sigh of relief, her body shaking from a mix of fatigue and excitement. While lying down and gazing at the expansive sky overhead, Michaela couldn't shake a deep feeling of thanks. She confronted her biggest fear and came out on top, demonstrating to both herself and others that her strength surpassed even her expectations. Immediately, a group of beachgoers noticed Michaela lying bloodied on the sand. With a mixture of panic and urgency, the group called for help. In just a matter of minutes, Michaela was being loaded into an ambulance that would take her to the hospital. After a few weeks, Michaela was released from the hospital. Her leg bore the scars of the gruesome encounter with the shark. But despite the injuries, she was thankful for the second chance at life. The sun blazed a relentless path across the water, transforming the stretch of ocean off Western Australia's Ningaloo Reef into a shimmering expanse. It was a long weekend in 2002, and a small boat bobbed amidst the blue, carrying 4 friends on a shared adventure. There was Alex, a graphic designer weighed down by his city life and a nagging mortgage. Beside him stood Ben, a mechanic whose hands were stained with grease and whose easy smile hid a streak of cynicism. Ryan, a boisterous salesman with a joke for every occasion, brought an undeniable energy to their outing. The quietest among them was Thomas, Alex's cousin. A marine biologist by trade, he moved through life with an observant eye and an almost unsettling calm. While the others joked and bickered, Thomas often looked down at the clear water, his mind likely filled with facts about the creatures swimming below the surface. Ningaloo Reef was renowned for its diverse marine life, a kaleidoscope of fish, corals, and the occasional majestic whale shark. But Thomas's fascination and the source of his occasional warnings centered on the region's less welcome visitors. Great white sharks patrol these waters, apex predators that demanded respect and instilled a healthy dose of fear. The thought of encountering one sent a shiver through the men, even as they secretly hoped to glimpse a fin cutting through the waves. The morning passed in a pleasant rhythm. Laughter rang out with each fish caught. Stories from their lives back on land intermingled with excited shouts and bursts of profanity from Ben whenever a line got tangled. Ryan, ever the opportunist, hooked into something monstrous around noon, and the ensuing struggle drew whoops and cheers from the others. When they finally hauled their prize on board, a giant shimmering tuna, spirits soared. Visions of a beachside feast filled their heads. Their idyllic day took a dark turn when the engine sputtered into silence. Ben, their resident mechanic, bent over the tangled machinery, his usual confidence slowly eroding. Alex, no stranger to deadlines and unforeseen problems, felt unease settle in his stomach. The ocean's vastness surrounded them, a reminder of their vulnerability. Suddenly, Thomas pointed towards the reef, his voice strained. A massive fin broke the surface, carving a path straight towards their boat. Ryan's laughter ceased. Ben froze mid-repair, and Alex's heart hammered against his ribs. The predator circled a silent promise of danger. They were no longer guests in its domain, but potential prey. The long shadows of the setting sun made the water seem even more ominous, and the last threads of their earlier cheer dissolved into a tense, unspoken fear. The great white struck without warning. Ryan, the closest to the railing, had been struggling with the outboard motor when the monstrous fish erupted from the depths. The boat lurched violently as the shark breached, all teeth and thrashing power. Ryan screamed, a sound cut brutally short as he disappeared in a spray of crimson and churned water. Ben and Alex, paralyzed with shock, scrambled for life jackets. Their hands shook uncontrollably. Thomas, though, seemed to snap out of his frozen state. He grabbed the radio, barking a desperate mayday into the crackling device. His voice echoed with a terrified urgency that mirrored the pounding of Alex's heart. The ocean, moments ago familiar territory, was now a scene of pure horror. The water churned with an almost oily sheen. A single tooth the size of a man's hand bobbed in the spreading stain, a gruesome trophy from the attack. Ben collapsed, great heaving sobs racking his body. His usual mask of toughness was shattered, leaving only a broken man. Alex could only stare, his mind unable to process the sheer brutality of Ryan's end. Only minutes ago they'd been laughing. Now there was only silence and the lingering smell of blood. Thomas, the man of facts, was now a man of action. He scanned the waters frantically, searching for any sign of Ryan, of the shark. There was nothing. The realization hit them like a wave. They were adrift with no engine, witness to an unseen predator lurking beneath the surface. Alex took up the grisly task of patching up the holes in their boat, remnants of the shark's frenzied assault. His hands trembled, but a tiny sliver of determination pushed back against the fear with each progress. They had to stay afloat, and they hoped rescue was on the way. Darkness fell with startling swiftness, plunging them into a terrifying new reality. No longer a playground, the ocean became a realm of shadows and unseen terrors. But they were not alone. Strange glowing shapes materialized beneath the boat, bioluminescent plankton, disturbed by their frantic movements, painting the water with an eerie light. It was as beautiful as it was terrifying, a reminder of the sea's wonders and horrors in its depths. A desperate plan formed in Alex's mind as the night wore on. Taking a length of rope, he tied a life jacket to one end and lowered it into the water, the glowing plankton swirling around it. It was a long shot, a distraction tactic. The shark could be drawn to the movement and leave their battered boat alone. The hours dragged by and sleep was impossible. Ben mumbled incoherently, lost in his grief. Thomas stared out at the vastness, his jaw clenched. And Alex watched his makeshift lure, hoping against hope that it was buying them time. With the first hints of dawn, a cry went up, not of terror but of relief. On the horizon, the unmistakable shape of a search plane cut through the morning sky. Tears welled in their eyes as the aircraft grew closer, the roar of its engines promising salvation. In the end, they were found, battered, dehydrated, and forever scarred by their ordeal. They had survived the night, the predator, and their greatest fears. The price they paid was high. They would carry the memory of Ryan, the glistening tooth, and the sheer terror of being adrift at the mercy of the sea for the rest of their lives. In the annals of Mexican history, the tale of Annie, a spirited young university student, unfolds against the backdrop of her unbridled passion for surfing. Annie's journey takes a fateful turn when a seemingly idyllic seaside adventure with friends transforms into a tragic incident that leaves an indelible mark on the hearts of those who knew her. Annie's love affair with the waves began in her early years. Raised in a close-knit family that embraced the beauty of Mexico's coastal landscapes, Annie developed an affinity for the water. The allure of surfing, with its blend of adrenaline and tranquility, captivated her from a young age. Her longing for the sea intensified as she progressed through her academic endeavors. The pivotal moment arrived in the bustling atmosphere of the university canteen. Annie and her cohort of friends, sharing a bond forged through shared interests and academic pursuits, conceived the idea of a seaside expedition. With the weight of impending final exams temporarily lifted, the group eagerly planned their getaway, setting the stage for an adventure that would alter the course of Annie's life. The chosen date, the 13th of February, loomed on the horizon. Exam pressure consumed the week leading up to their adventure, but the thought of the trip served as a source of joy. Annie, with her camera in tow and the promise of surfing on her mind, eagerly awaited the weekend. On the appointed day, the air buzzed with excitement as Annie and her friends set out on their journey. Exploration, laughter, and the anticipation of the experiences ahead punctuated the drive to the seaside. Upon reaching their destination after a 3-hour drive, they selected a scenic spot for a picnic, reveling in the joys of camaraderie and the natural beauty that surrounded them. Having satisfied their hunger, Annie, the embodiment of vivacity, wasted no time heading towards the water, surfboard in hand. Little did she know that this carefree venture would soon descend into a harrowing ordeal that would test her resilience and the strength of the bonds that tied her to her friends. The tranquil scene shattered when 3 tiger sharks, majestic yet menacing, infringed upon the vicinity of Annie's surfing board. Oblivious to the looming danger beneath the surface, Annie continued to revel in the thrill of surfing, unaware that her passion had brought her into an unforeseen and perilous encounter. Chaos ensued as the sharks circled Annie, attacking her board and sending her crashing into the water. From the shore, her friends, paralyzed by the unfolding horror, immediately reached out to the seaside helpline for assistance. Annie, now in a struggle for her life, fought to swim to safety as the sharks inflicted severe injuries on her. The seaside helpline, a beacon of hope in times of crisis, sprang into action upon receiving the distress call. Trained to handle emergencies of this nature, the staff swiftly arrived at the scene, armed with tools to deter the sharks. The desperate search for A commenced, with her friends anxiously watching from the shore as the drama unfolded in the water. When the staff noticed Annie's reflection in the water, entangled in one of the tiger sharks, the seriousness of the situation became clear. With commendable courage and precision, they intervened, freeing Annie from the relentless grip of the predator. The rescue, though successful, revealed the extent of her injuries, and it was evident that time was of the essence. The helpline staff rushed Annie, who was now in critical condition, to the hospital. Her friends, overwhelmed by fear and concern, promptly informed her family of the tragic turn of events. The medical team, recognizing the urgency, worked tirelessly to stabilize Annie, but the combination of severe injuries and substantial blood loss proved insurmountable. Annie's passing reverberated through her family, friends, and the broader community. The honorable void is a poignant reminder of the fragility of life's most exhilarating pursuits. Annie's story serves as a witness to the unpredictable nature of life's adventures. What began as a joyous exploration of her passion culminated in a tragedy that echoed far beyond the shores where she once reveled in the waves. The grief-stricken community, united in mourning, grappled with the harsh reality that a bright light had been extinguished too soon. In the aftermath of Ani's passing, her family, friends, and the seaside community rallied to celebrate her life and commemorate the spirit that defined her. Surfing, once a source of joy, now carried the weight of a bittersweet legacy, a reminder of a young soul who dared to embrace life's grandeur to its fullest. As time passed, Ani's story became more than a cautionary tale. It became a catalyst for change. The tragedy motivated the seaside community to focus more on spreading knowledge about the dangers of water sports and the significance of safety precautions. Ani's name became synonymous with a call for vigilance and responsibility in the pursuit of adventure. In the halls of academia, her friends and fellow students established a scholarship in her honor, ensuring that her legacy endured as a beacon of inspiration for future generations. The scholarship aimed to support students who shared Ani's passion for academic pursuits and adventurous endeavors, fostering a balance that mirrored her vibrant spirit. As the sun colored the sky with shades of pink and orange, creating a peaceful light over the calm waters, Sarah Liddell, Emily Sanders, Rachel DuBois, and Lisa Smith set off on a deep-sea fishing adventure from the coastal town of Hermanus, South Africa. They were excited to escape the busy city life and find excitement and friendship on the sea. Their boat smoothly cut through the peaceful sea, creating a foamy trail behind it. Seagulls flew above in circles, their sad calls mixing with the steady buzz of the engine. With the vast ocean before them, the women's laughter echoed through the air, filling it with excitement and anticipation. As they ventured further from the shore, the scent of salt mixed with the pungent odor of seaweed filled their nostrils with the unique fragrance of the sea. Sarah confidently steered the vessel through shifting currents, skillfully controlling the helm with steady hands. The women stood by the railing, gazing up at the morning sun to feel its warmth on their faces. Their animated voices were filled with excitement as they shared tales of past adventures and talked about future escapades. As time went by, the worries of the world disappeared, and in their place came a feeling of liberation and excitement. As they proceeded further into the sea, they were filled with a feeling of wonder, gazing out at the never-ending expanse of blue beneath them, where each wave was a captivating display of light and darkness. The ocean's immense size made them feel minuscule and unimportant. However, their peaceful daydream was suddenly interrupted by a sudden strong jerk that caused waves of shock to travel through the boat, knocking them off balance. Sarah tightly gripped the wheel as the boat tilted and swayed, the abrupt commotion disturbing the peacefulness of the scene. A massive shadow emerged beneath the water, a 17-foot great white shark, its smooth outline slicing through the water like a predator searching for prey. With a loud splash, the creature emerged from the water, its massive body creating a frightening shadow beneath the boat. Sarah's heart leaped into her throat at the sight of the shark's shiny teeth reflecting the sunlight. Emily felt a chill in her blood as she witnessed a horrifying sight, finding it difficult to grasp the severity of the danger in front of them. The women rushed for safety, their screams muffled by the overpowering sound of the roaring sea. Rachel's trembling hands scrambled for the emergency supplies, struggling with the latch of the storage compartment in a frantic attempt to prepare for the impending danger. While the shark swam menacingly around, focusing its dark eyes on its target, every moment felt frozen, with each heartbeat resonating like a warning of imminent danger. All their instincts told them to escape, but they were stuck, floating in a vast, merciless ocean with no place to escape or hide. At the same time, Lisa remained motionless in stunned silence, her eyes open wide in disbelief while the shark swam around the damaged boat, its gaze locked on its target. Sarah's urgent and commanding tone pierced through the chaos, inspiring her friends to take action. The shark made a sudden attack, easily ripping through the metal hull with its massive jaws. Emily let out a scream when she noticed the boat shaking under her, the noise of the metal tearing reverberating in her ears. Feeling desperate and overwhelmed, the women understood they needed to act quickly. Rachel and Emily hurriedly prepared the inflatable raft as the ship neared sinking, their hands trembling with panic as they secured the sections. While fighting against the relentless attack of the shark, time appeared to come to a standstill. Each noise was amplified: the groan of stressed metal, the crash of frothy waves on the ship, the labored wheezes of their breath as they struggled to survive. Once the raft was put together, the women held onto it tightly, resembling shipwrecked survivors lost at sea in a turbulent storm. The shark moved around them in a manner reminiscent of a vulture, its gaze shining with hunger as it waited for the ideal opportunity to attack. Sarah, her hands shaking, turned on the electronic shark repellent. Sarah clung to the hope that the shark repellent would work as she attached it to the bottom of the inflatable raft. The team observed with anticipation as the shark swam around the raft. As it closed in on the group, they were aware that an attack was imminent. The group looked at one another. If the repellent failed, they understood they would be fish food. After a few minutes of circling the inflatable raft, the shark began to approach. However, as it neared, it suddenly recoiled as though it had bumped into an invisible blockade. It quickly pulled back and began going around the raft once more. After that, it began to advance for a second assault, but hesitated again as though it had collided with the barrier once more. The group was relieved to find out that the repellent was effective. Hours drifted by in a haze of uncertainty and doubt. The sun rose higher in the sky, creating lengthy shadows over the turbulent waves. Tired and freezing, the women gathered closely, using each other's body warmth. Everyone felt sore from the strain of survival. As night fell over the sea like a cloak, a ray of hope emerged in the distance, a tiny spot of light getting bigger as time went by. It was a ship. As they realized that help was near, relief flooded through them like a wave. Right away, Sarah fired a flare that lit up the night sky, alerting the boat for assistance. The rescue boat approached closer, its searchlights piercing the darkness like signals of hope. The women's desperate and grateful voices joined together in a chorus, their cries engulfed by the immensity of the ocean. It wasn't long before the women were being hauled aboard the rescue ship. Shaking hands, they extended their arms to hold on to their rescuers' outstretched arms, bringing their ordeal to a close. Upon returning to solid ground, they held on to one another tightly, resembling shipwreck survivors, with their faces showing signs of fear and trauma from the experience. Looking out at the endless sea, they felt a feeling of gratitude and relief. They went out to sea to unwind from the city's hustle and bustle, but they emerged stronger as individuals and with a friendship strengthened by the ocean. The waters of the Great Australian Bight shimmered under the harsh glare of the July sun. It was 2007, the depths of winter in South Australia. Still, for marine biologist Anya Petrova, the water was a second home. Today it would be a battleground. Anya wasn't your typical beach bunny. She'd grown up in the harsh beauty of the Russian north, with snow swirling where others saw sand. But she'd always dreamt of the ocean, its vast mystery calling to her even as a small girl. Now, working on her doctorate, she spent her days chasing the secrets of the world's apex predators, sharks. Her study site, a remote stretch of coastline known as Neptune's Playground, was infamous for great white sightings. These weren't mindless killing machines of the movies, but creatures of strategy and incredible power. Anya longed to understand them, to help shatter the myths that led to senseless culls and an unbalanced ecosystem. Today was about observation. She and her research partner, grizzled old Tomo, would descend into a shark cage anchored just off a known seal colony. It was controversial work. Some said using bait was too risky, but Anya believed the insight gained was worth it. The ride to the study site was choppy, the boat slapping the waves. Tomo regaled her with tales of close calls and scars earned over the years. His gruffness masked a grudging respect for her knowledge, a newcomer accepted into the old boys' club of shark research. As they neared their destination, Anya's heart thumped a counterpoint to the thrum of the boat's engine. This wasn't about bravery. It was about facing a fundamental instinctive fear. Sharks were wired into the oldest parts of the human brain, whispering of teeth and darkness and the fragility of flesh. The water here had an oily sheen and the smell of fish was strong. A fur seal zipped past the boat, its dark eyes wary. Anya knew this was the shark's hunting ground, and she was stepping directly into the arena. It wasn't about conquering her fear, but living alongside it long enough to do her work. The cage was lowered with a resounding splash. Tomo, after a lifetime of dives, stayed topside, eyes glued to the water. Strapping on her gear, Anya felt a familiar mix of excitement and the prickle of pure, undiluted terror. This was where she thrived, on that knife edge between wonder and oblivion. The first sighting was breathtaking. Its gray skin blended with the murky water, and a massive form materialized from the deep. The great white cruised past the cage, its black eyes seemingly fixated on her. Anya, heart-pounding, filmed the encounter, her scientific mind battling a surge of pure primal terror. This was beauty and brutality embodied. The shark circled, its movements mesmerizingly fluid. Anya knew the routine: assess the potential meal and test the defenses. The cage wasn't an obstacle, more of an annoyance, but it would protect her, mostly. She'd seen the footage, those massive jaws capable of biting through steel. Then it happened. The shark charged, a torpedo of muscle and teeth. It slammed into the cage, the impact jarring her teeth. It thrashed and circled, frustrated. Anya clung to the bars, fighting against a wave of nausea as the cage swayed violently. Then, silence. She risked a glance out. Nothing. Had it given up? Anya struggled to regulate her breathing. Above, she could just make out the silhouette of the boat. Tomo would be watching, worried but unable to help. Her lifeline was the comm system hooked to her mask. She activated it, her voice barely more than a frightened whisper against the static. A reply echoed back, tense and strained, hinting at an unseen complication. The line crackled, then cut off, leaving Anya alone with the terrifying implication of whatever was hampering the winch. Panic flared. Being stuck above water was dangerous enough, attracting more sharks, but stuck underwater, that was a death sentence. Minutes ticked by, each one agonizingly slow. She scanned the water, desperately searching for a sign of her attacker. Then, the water pressure changed, a prickling on her neck. The shark was back. It circled the cage as if assessing it for flaws. Anya knew her time was running out. If Tomo couldn't free the cage, she'd drown, trapped within feet of the surface. But she wasn't helpless. Years of studying shark behavior flickered through her panic. She'd read theories. Tapping the snout would confuse a shark and disrupt its attack pattern. It was a long shot, but it was her only shot. Grabbing a spare camera rod, she took a deep, steadying breath and reached through the bars. The shark turned, sensing the movement. She lunged out, tapping it on the snout twice, thrice. The shark recoiled, momentarily disoriented by her counterattack. Anya lunged back, her heart pounding with terror and desperate hope. It was working. But she knew time was not on her side. She repeated the action, a desperate gamble against the looming threat. The shark backed off again. Its movement slowed, seemingly confused by the unexpected resistance. Suddenly, the cage jerked upwards. Tomo's voice, filled with urgency, crackled through the comms. Anya scrambled towards the ladder as the cage was winched up with agonizing slowness. Her eyes were fixed on the water below, where the shark still circled ominously. Breaking the surface felt like a resurrection. Gulping ragged breaths, Anya collapsed on the deck, Tomo's face a mask of relief. He helped her out of her gear with rough hands that were surprisingly gentle. When the cage was back on deck, he turned and gunned the engine, speeding away. Only as the shoreline came into view, Anya allowed herself to cry. It was relief, terror, and a newfound respect for the thin line between researcher and prey. She had stared death in the eye and lived to tell the tale. From this day on, her work wouldn't just be academic. It would be a testament, a tribute to the magnificent, terrifying creatures that ruled the deep. In the summer of 2008, a young man named Jack, at the age of 26, found himself entangled in a series of events that would forever change the course of his life. Jack, a routine-bound bank employee, yearned for excitement in his monotonous daily existence. Despite the mundane nature of his work, Jack held a secret passion for the sea, a love he shared with his equally adventurous girlfriend. Their shared enthusiasm for seaside escapades was rooted in their university days, when Jack had earned a reputation as a skilled and swift swimmer. His affinity for water became a defining aspect of his character, and the couple cherished the idea of spending extended periods by the ocean. However, the demands of daily life had kept them away from indulging in their shared passion for too long. One day, inspiration struck as Jack idly scrolled through his mobile phone. He decided it was high time for a grand adventure, a journey to the sea that would break the monotony of their lives. Excitedly, he shared his plan with his girlfriend, who wholeheartedly agreed. After many days of stagnation, the prospect of an adventurous trip injected a fresh sense of anticipation into their relationship. Setting their sights on the week of July 25th, Jack and his girlfriend eagerly prepared for their seaside expedition. Jack, buoyed by enthusiasm, packed their essentials: a camera, swimming attire, bags, and a set of carefully chosen provisions. The day arrived and Jack, ready and determined, picked up his girlfriend from her home. Reminiscences of cherished moments and a playlist that serenaded their trip started the journey. As they approached the sea, the sight of the vast expanse filled with people walking along the shore heightened their excitement. The couple strolled along the beach, taking in the beauty of the location. After a while, Jack, unable to contain his eagerness, changed into his swimwear and plunged into the water, leaving his girlfriend to enjoy the scene from the shore. Little did they know that this seemingly idyllic day would take a turn for the worse. In the depths of the ocean, 3 tiger sharks silently pursued Jack, who remained blissfully unaware of the impending danger. Suddenly, the tranquil waters turned tumultuous as the sharks launched a coordinated attack on Jack's unsuspecting body. Panic ensued as Jack cried out for help, the once serene waters now tainted by the struggle for survival. From a nearby ship, onlookers witnessed the horrifying scene unfold. Recognizing the urgency, the ship's crew rushed to Jack's aid. Using specialized equipment, they managed to retrieve Jack from the clutches of the sharks, but the damage had been done. His body bore the brutal marks of the shark attack, leaving him in excruciating pain. The ship raced back to the shore where medical personnel awaited, ready to provide emergency assistance. Jack's girlfriend, who had been a helpless spectator, could hardly contain her anguish. Upon reaching the hospital, the severity of Jack's injuries became apparent. One of the sharks had attacked his neck, making breathing a struggle. Despite the best efforts of the medical team, Jack succumbed to his injuries, leaving a void of grief and disbelief in the hearts of those who knew him. The news of Jack's tragic demise rippled through the community and captured the attention of the media. Interviews with Jack's devastated girlfriend recounted the harrowing experience as the public grappled with the shocking reality of a life cut short in the pursuit of adventure. The memory of that fateful day haunted not only Jack's loved ones, but also those who had witnessed the incident. In the wake of Jack's death, his girlfriend struggled to accept the irrevocable loss. Returning home, she faced the unenviable task of informing Jack's family about the tragedy that had befallen their beloved son. The news, when relayed, was met with disbelief and grief, casting a somber pall over the once vibrant household. As the details of Jack's shark attack circulated through various media channels, the incident served as a stark reminder of the unpredictable and sometimes perilous nature of adventure. Jack's untimely demise became a cautionary tale, prompting discussions on safety measures for water-related activities and increased awareness about the potential dangers lurking in seemingly serene environments. Despite the passage of time, the memory of Jack's tragic adventure in the summer of 2008 remained etched in the collective consciousness. The story of a young man's love for the sea, which turned fatal, served as a poignant reminder that, in the pursuit of adventure, one must tread cautiously, respecting the unpredictable forces of nature that can abruptly alter the course of a seemingly idyllic day by the shore. A stretch of ocean brimming with life can be found off the rugged South African coast, where the Atlantic and Indian Oceans converge. Here, bold explorers from all corners of the globe come together, enticed by the possibility of exciting interactions with the sea's most powerful creatures. One of them is Colin Thomas, an experienced adventurer who craves adrenaline. Colin and his friends eagerly wait on the ship's deck, filled with a mix of excitement and nervousness, as the sun rises slowly, casting orange and gold hues. Today signifies the conclusion of extensive months of getting ready for a cage diving excursion to ultimately encounter one of the ocean's top predators, the great white shark. Excitement fills the air as the crew gets ready for the day's adventure. Wetsuits are put on, harnesses fastened, and cameras prepared to capture all the thrilling moments. With anticipation gleaming in his eyes, Colin surveys the surroundings, the shining ocean, the rugged coastline in the distance, and the electric atmosphere in the air. While the boat navigates towards the planned dive spot, Colin experiences a familiar adrenaline rush in his body. The salty breeze tousles his hair as he eagerly waits to encounter one of the ocean's most famous creatures while gazing at the horizon. Hours go by in a whirlwind of anticipation and excitement until at last the boat arrives at its destination. The team quickly gets to work, setting up the cage and smoothly lowering it into the water. Colin feels his heart race with anticipation as he prepares for the most thrilling dive of his life. Excitedly, Colin puts on his wetsuit and fastens his harness, getting ready mentally for what's to come. As he enters, the robust and impressive cage stands tall in front of him, prepared to lower him into the ocean's depths. While the cage descends into the water, Colin experiences a strong sense of excitement. Beneath him, he spotted many vibrant fish swimming, yet the predator he sought was nowhere to be found. Suddenly he notices a large silhouette gliding effortlessly beneath the surface of the water. It is a 15-foot great white shark, the dominant predator of the ocean. Colin experiences a moment of fear but quickly becomes fascinated by the shark's impressive strength and elegance. This is exactly what he desired: to witness nature in its finest form, to experience the thrill of being in proximity to such an amazing sea creature. However, as Colin is relishing the underwater world, a negative event occurs. All of a sudden, the cage abruptly shakes, and Colin immediately notices that something is wrong. He starts to panic as he realizes something is wrong. Desperately, he gazes upwards at the surface, where the crew is yelling and making frantic gestures. At that moment, he notices a broken steel line dangling from the side of the cage. A line that was meant to tether the cage to the boat. But it was loose because of a malfunction while the cage was being lowered. He feels his heart beating rapidly in his chest while observing with terror the shark circling nearby, drawn by the commotion and sight of the metal enclosure floating underwater. Colin's mind races as time appears to move slowly, looking for an escape from his underwater situation. The twisted metal bars of the damaged cage serve as a somber reminder of the imminent danger lurking close by, offering little hope. However, Colin remains steadfast in his refusal to surrender. Summoning all his courage, Colin starts to look for a way to get away. His hands frantically search the bars of the cage, looking for a potential weakness in its design that could give him a chance to escape the enclosure. Just when things appear to be at their worst, he suddenly sees a larger gap in the cage's bars, only just wide enough for him to squeeze through. Refusing to give up, Colin forces his way through the narrow opening, disregarding the intense agony of his skin scraping against the merciless metal. He emerges from the cage wreckage, putting in a last burst of energy, his lungs craving air as he kicks fiercely towards the surface. He sees a whirlwind of movement and noise surrounding him: the turbulent water, the far-off calls of the sailors, the unending thumping of his own heart. Finally, he emerges from the water, taking in deep breaths as the comforting sunlight bathes him in a sense of liberation. However, the challenge is not finished yet. The shark, determined to capture its prey, follows Colin as he emerges to the surface. Colin spots the shark's fins sticking out of the water surrounding where he is located. Colin always positions himself facing the shark, understanding its predatory behavior. With every pass, the fin moves nearer to where Colin is positioned. Colin slowly backs away from the shark, ensuring that he is constantly maintaining eye contact with it. From afar, the boat spots Colin drifting in the ocean and zooms towards him. Within moments, the boat reaches Colin, and the crew also spots the circling shark. The boat's captain readies his bang stick, an underwater shotgun, and gets Colin ready, letting him know they are ready to defend against the shark if it decides to strike. All of a sudden, the shark shifts course, detecting the approaching large ship getting closer to its target. Due to the shark's altered behavior, the crew hastily tosses a buoy connected to a rope and swiftly brings Colin back to the deck. After being lifted onto the boat by the crew, Colin slumps from fatigue with his body bruised and beaten but miraculously unharmed. He is still alive. While lying on the deck and looking up at the vast sky, Colin feels deeply grateful for the opportunity to start over. The encounter has transformed him, increasing his understanding of how delicate life is and the marvels of the natural world. On a bright sunny day in August 2007, the serene coastline of the shores of Azure Cove in Sydney, Australia, was about to witness a terrifying event. The day started like any other summer day, with families flocking to the beach to enjoy the sun, sand, and sea. Among them was the Thompson family, including 12-year-old Ethan Thompson, an enthusiastic and adventurous boy with a love for the ocean. Ethan, his parents, Michael and Sarah, and his younger sister, Lily, had left their home in a nearby Sydney suburb for relaxation and fun. The beach was bustling with activity, the air filled with laughter and the gentle lapping of waves on the shore. Ever the adventurer, Ethan couldn't wait to dive into the calm waters and make the most of the day. Hammerhead sharks, known for their distinctive head shape, were a common sight in these waters but rarely posed a threat to swimmers. These creatures, often misunderstood, are generally considered less aggressive than other shark species. However, their presence in the area was always a reminder of the wild and unpredictable nature of the ocean. As the afternoon progressed, Ethan ventured further into the water for a swim. He was a confident swimmer, and his parents watched from the shore, feeling safe knowing that Azure Cove was well patrolled and known for its safety. Little did they know a lone hammerhead shark was lurking nearby, drawn closer to the shore than usual, possibly searching for food. Without warning, the tranquility of the scene was broken. The hammerhead, mistaking Ethan for prey, launched a sudden and vicious attack. The shark's powerful jaws clamped on Ethan's leg, pulling him under the water. On the shore, panic ensued as Ethan's family and other beachgoers realized what was happening. Screams filled the air as lifeguards sprang into action, rushing towards the scene. Ethan, caught in the grip of the shark, fought desperately. The struggle was intense and terrifying. The water around him turned red with blood as he tried to free himself from the shark's mighty bite. Onlookers watched in horror, many frozen in shock as the lifeguards reached Ethan and the shark. Incredibly, the shark released its grip, and Ethan, severely injured, was quickly pulled to safety by the lifeguards. His leg was badly damaged, the bite from the shark leaving deep wounds. Medical personnel on the beach provided immediate first aid while waiting for an ambulance. The beach, once a scene of summer joy, was now a site of shock and fear. Ethan's parents, overwhelmed with emotion, rushed to his side, grateful he was alive but horrified at the extent of his injuries. The ambulance arrived and Ethan was taken to the hospital. His condition was serious but stable. The news of the shark attack spread quickly through Azure Cove and beyond, sparking debates about shark safety and beachgoer precautions. Local authorities and marine biologists began investigating the incident, trying to understand what had led to the attack. They emphasized the rarity of such events, but the attack on young Ethan was a stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of wildlife and the importance of vigilance in the water. In the aftermath of the attack, the beach community rallied around the Thompson family, offering support and assistance. Ethan's journey to recovery was going to be long and challenging, both physically and emotionally. The incident had left its mark, not just on Ethan and his family, but on the entire community, reminding them of the delicate balance between humans and nature. The hammerhead shark attack on Ethan Thompson was more than just a news headline. It was a life-changing event that would shape his and many others' attitudes toward the ocean and its creatures. In the hospital, Ethan's condition was critical. The attack had left him with severe injuries, and the doctors worked tirelessly to save his leg. His family waited anxiously, clinging to hope amidst the fear and uncertainty. The news of the shark attack had spread throughout Sydney, and the community's concern and support for the Thompson family grew more assertive. As the days passed, Ethan's resilience became apparent. Despite the trauma and the pain, his spirit remained unbroken. His parents and sister were constantly present by his bedside, offering love and encouragement. The doctors, impressed by his courage, were cautiously optimistic about his recovery. However, it was clear that Ethan's life would be forever changed. The shark attack had not only left physical scars, but it also left an indelible mark on his young mind. Meanwhile, the authorities continued their investigation into the shark attack. Marine biologists and shark experts were called in to analyze the incident. They concluded that the attack was an unfortunate case of mistaken identity, a rare occurrence where the shark mistook Ethan for its natural prey. The incident led to a renewed focus on shark awareness and safety measures. Beach patrols were increased, and new warning systems were implemented to alert swimmers of potential shark presence. Back in the hospital, Ethan began the long road to rehabilitation. His leg, though saved, required multiple surgeries and extensive physical therapy. The support from the community was overwhelming. Letters, cards, and messages of encouragement poured in for Ethan, each a testament to his story's impact on people's lives. The Thompson family found themselves at the center of a media storm. Interviews and news reports followed their every move, but they remained focused on Ethan's recovery. Months passed and Ethan's condition improved steadily. He returned home, welcomed by a community celebration. His story of survival had inspired many, and he became a local hero. But for Ethan and his family, the journey was far from over. The physical and emotional scars of the attack would take time to heal. Ethan's encounter with the hammerhead shark was a life-altering event that extended beyond the boundaries of his personal experience. It raised awareness about the importance of coexisting with ocean wildlife and respecting their habitat. It also highlighted the need for ongoing research and education about sharks, their behavior, and their role in the marine ecosystem. Ethan's story, a blend of tragedy and triumph, remains a powerful narrative about respect, coexistence, and the indomitable will to overcome challenges. Sasha Bennett wasn't just a surfer. In those moments when water and speed and pure instinct collided, she wasn't just riding the wave. She was a part of its thundering power. This stretch of Queensland coastline, with its hidden coves and fickle tides, had been her classroom since she was old enough to hold a board. She knew its moods, its secrets, even its dangers. Today was different. Today, tucked into the curve of the Gold Coast on a blazing May morning in 2004, everything hinged on ambition. Sasha, 17 years old and burning with dreams too big for her little town, was chasing more than just the perfect swell. This was her breakout year. Nationals, sponsorship deals, maybe even a shot at the world tours. She'd make her dad proud and prove to herself that even after her mom's death, she could handle whatever life threw at her. Her practice spot, breakaway point, was a beast even on good days, the kind of place the grizzled veterans liked to test their mettle and where the weekend warriors rarely dared to venture. Sasha thrived on the challenge, the way the currents shifted out here, the way a wave could build into a roaring wall of water in seconds. Of course, with those unpredictable swells came the occasional less welcome visitor. Bull sharks, especially, are drawn by the churned-up water and the promise of a meal. Old Maka, the weathered surf shop owner with his missing finger and shark-tooth necklace, had wagged a finger at her yesterday, muttering warnings. Sasha hid her shiver of fear with a cheeky grin. She was too strong, fast, and good to become some shark's breakfast. Paddling out this morning, muscles warm and heart pounding, a sliver of unease crept in. It warred with the familiar adrenaline rush. Fear was the enemy, and she'd wrestled it to the ground more times than she could count. Her first few rides were exhilarating. She knew her form was perfect, honed by years of early mornings and relentless practice. Then she saw it. Out on the fringe of her vision, a dark shape arced through the water. It surfaced again, closer this time. That wasn't a dolphin. Too thick, too blunt, the familiar surge of adrenaline turned icy. That shape, that relentless movement was unmistakable. But she was too far out, too far from the safety of the shore, too far from anyone who could help. And it was getting closer. The world exploded into chaos. One moment Sasha was balanced on her board, scanning for the next wave. The next, the shark erupted from the depths, a torpedo of muscle and teeth. Its massive body knocked her from her board, tumbling into the water. Pain seared through her leg, a fiery ripping sensation. Then the shark was back, pulling her under with horrifying force. Her lungs screamed as the water closed over her head, salt choking her. She glimpsed its open maw through the murky blue, a jagged line of razor-sharp teeth. Sasha clawed and kicked with the primal strength of desperation, but its grip was relentless. Then, as suddenly as it began, the pull eased. She was free, but only for a moment. The shark circled back, blood trailing in the water, its dark eyes cold and fixed on her. Sasha surfaced, gasping and sputtering, her injured leg burning, barely able to keep her head above the water. The beach seemed impossibly far away. She kicked frantically, one-armed, propelled by a surge of fear she'd never known. Her board bobbed nearby, but the shark was between her and her lifeline. She thought of her dad, his tired face etched with worry lines, and a wave of anger surged through her, fueling her determination. Behind her, the monstrous fish turned, beginning another charge. Sasha lunged for her board, ignoring the white-hot pain. The shark closed in, its open jaws a gaping terror. She yanked the board up, a pathetic shield, and braced herself for the impact. There was a splintering crunch and a blinding flash of pain as the shark latched onto the board, tearing a huge chunk away. Sasha, propelled by the force of the attack, found herself airborne for a split second before crashing back into the water a few meters away. The shark circled again, disoriented, and Sasha used the precious seconds to paddle madly towards the distant shore. Her injured leg throbbed with each clumsy stroke. She knew the blood would attract the predator back and knew that time was running out. Every time a ripple broke the surface, her heart hammered a frantic rhythm against her ribs. She imagined those monstrous teeth clamping onto her leg again, the terrible drag into the dark depths. Wave after relentless wave, she pushed on, driven by the raw, desperate need to survive. Her breaths came in ragged gasps as her muscles protested, but she refused to give in. The beach, once a distant smudge, grew closer with agonizing slowness. Her arms felt like lead, her wounded leg a useless weight. Then a glimmer of hope emerged. A figure appeared on the shoreline, waving frantically. A fellow surfer. Her voice, raw and weak, barely carried over the sound of the surf, but she screamed for help. The figure plunged into the water, paddling toward her with powerful strokes. With renewed energy, Sasha somehow found the strength to push on. The shark hadn't reappeared, perhaps drawn away by the new presence in its territory. The other surfer reached her, helped her onto his board, and paddled them to safety. As Sasha collapsed on the sand, the sobs came in great shuddering waves mingled with relief. Her leg throbbed relentlessly. The world blurred around her, but she was alive. They'd cheated the ocean, cheated death, and the taste of victory was sharper than the salt water stinging her eyes. In 2002, the turning pages of Mexican history bore witness to a poignant chapter centered around a spirited and adventurous young woman named Sarah. For a time, she found solace and warmth within a loving family, but tragedy struck when her husband passed away, plunging her into grief and self-imposed seclusion within the confines of her room. Concerned for Sarah's well-being, her family, in collaboration with friends, devised a plan to lift her spirits, leveraging her love for adventure, particularly in the world of surfing. Despite initial hesitations, Sarah's best friend convinced her to join an outing to the seaside on a serene Sunday, the 8th of March. Little did they know that this seemingly rejuvenating escapade would take a tragic turn, altering the course of their lives forever. The week preceding the outing was a mix of work and anticipation. On a Saturday night, Sarah readied her surfing gear, packing a bag filled with memories and the promise of a revitalizing experience. As Sunday dawned, friends gathered at Sarah's home, embarking on a journey that held the potential for profound change. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement as they reminisced about shared moments. Upon reaching the seaside destination, Sarah, facing the vast expanse of the sea, felt a flood of memories. She clutched her surfboard, a cherished relic echoing with laughter and the presence of her late husband. Entering the water, Sarah surfed with unwavering focus, immersed in the nostalgia of her past. Unbeknownst to her, the serene waters harbored 3 formidable tiger sharks, silently observing her solitary journey. The first inkling of danger manifested as a subtle impact on her board. Dismissing it initially, Sarah continued riding the waves, lost in the reverie of her past. However, the gentle nudges transformed into a persistent presence. To her horror, 3 tiger sharks, massive and awe-inspiring, circled her board. Her friends, witnessing the unfolding danger, urgently called for help from the seaside authorities. The once idyllic scene transformed into a desperate race against time. As the helpline staff reached the location, the reality was grim. The waters were stained red with blood, and there was no sign of Sarah except for her drifting surfboard. The friends, clinging to hope, could not fathom the idea of losing their dear companion. The truth, however, was stark. The tiger sharks had launched a brutal attack on Sarah, causing irreparable harm. The once vibrant and adventurous girl succumbed to the merciless assault, her body torn apart by the relentless jaws of the predators. The news of Sarah's tragic fate devastated her family and friends. The unimaginable circumstances of her passing made the grief worse. The sea, once a source of solace and joy, had become the stage for a harrowing and fatal encounter. Sarah's friends, unable to reconcile with the loss, carried the weight of her memories with them. The joyous moments shared in the past now serve as a poignant reminder of a life cut short. The news of her demise spread shockwaves through the community, leaving an indelible mark on those who had known her. In the wake of this tragedy, Sarah's once carefree and adventurous spirit became a poignant tale of the unpredictable and unforgiving nature of the sea. Her friends, forever haunted by the memory of that fateful day, vowed to cherish every moment and honor Sarah's legacy by sharing her story as a cautionary reminder of the untamed beauty and inherent dangers beneath the ocean's surface. The incident prompted discussions about ocean safety and the need for increased awareness regarding the potential dangers that lurk in the depths. Sarah's friends, in their determination to ensure her death was not in vain, became advocates for beach safety, collaborating with local authorities to implement measures that would prevent similar tragedies. In the following months, memorials and fundraisers were organized in Sarah's honor. The community, deeply affected by the loss, supported one another. The tragic events of that fateful Sunday had permanently altered the once carefree seaside town, which now bore the weight of a gloomy reality. As news of Sarah's story spread beyond the local community, it became a symbol of the delicate balance between the allure of nature and its inherent dangers. Articles and documentaries were produced, exploring the complexity of human interactions with the ocean and the unpredictable behaviors of its inhabitants. Sarah's friends shared their first-hand accounts in interviews and public appearances. They emphasized the need for education and awareness, encouraging people to embrace the beauty of the sea while respecting its potential for danger. The legacy of their lost friend lived on in these efforts, a testament to the enduring impact of a single life. The tale of Sarah served as a stark reminder that, even in beauty and tranquility, nature can unleash its ferocity. The sea, once a source of solace for Sarah, became the backdrop for an unforeseen tragedy, forever altering the lives of those who knew her. As time passed, the memory of Sarah became a guiding force for the community. Her friends, driven by a sense of responsibility, continued their advocacy for ocean safety, working tirelessly to ensure that others would not have to endure a similar tragedy. Scarred but resilient, the once carefree seaside town united in their commitment to honoring Sarah's memory. In remembering Sarah, the community not only mourns a life cut short, but also embraces the opportunity to prevent future tragedies and foster a profound appreciation for the delicate balance between humanity and the untamed forces of the ocean. On a sunny morning on Réunion Island, France, a group of enthusiastic volunteers gathered on the picturesque beach of St. Paul. Among them was Sophie Laurent, a spirited environmental science student from the University of La Réunion. The event was a community-led beach cleanup organized to combat the increasing problem of marine debris affecting the island's stunning coastlines. Sophie, with her long, sun-streaked hair tied back and a determined look in her eyes, was passionate about marine conservation. She had always felt a deep connection to the ocean and was eager to make a tangible difference. Clad in shorts and a t-shirt with sturdy gloves to protect her hands, she listened intently as the coordinator outlined the day's activities. Armed with bags and trash pickers, the volunteers spread out along the shore, their spirits high as they set their tasks. Drafted to the water's edge, Sophie began collecting plastic bottles, discarded fishing nets, and other debris washed ashore. The gentle lap of the waves against her ankles and the occasional call of a seabird overhead made the work feel less like a chore and more like a labor of love. As the morning progressed, Sophie moved into the shallows to retrieve a tangle of plastic that seemed to be partially submerged. The clear waters of Réunion Island, usually so inviting, hid an unexpected danger that day. Without warning, a sharp pain erupted in Sophie's ankle, sending a jolt of fear through her. Startled, she stumbled backward, glancing down to see a small shark swimming away, its silhouette disappearing into the deeper water. Though not deep, the bite was bleeding profusely, marring the clear water around her with dark, spreading clouds. Sophie's heart raced as she called out for help, the shock of the attack setting in. The other volunteers, hearing her cries, rushed to her side, their expressions turning from concern to alarm at the sight of her injury. The beach cleanup ended abruptly as the volunteers rallied around Sophie. One of them, a trained first aider, quickly administered primary treatment, applying pressure to the wound to stem the bleeding. The coordinator, realizing the gravity of the situation, dialed the emergency services, urging them to hurry. As Sophie sat on the sand, surrounded by worried faces, the initial shock gave way to a throbbing pain in her ankle. The community's concern was palpable, their cleanup efforts forgotten in the face of the unfolding emergency. The pristine beach, moments ago a scene of collaborative effort and environmental stewardship, had become the backdrop for a stark reminder of the ocean's unpredictable nature. As the minutes ticked by, the serene beach of St. Paul on Reunion Island transformed into a hub of activity. The distant sound of sirens grew louder, signaling the approach of the emergency medical team. The volunteers formed a makeshift pathway to ease their access to Sophie, who sat quietly, trying to mask the pain with a brave smile. The medical team sprang into action upon arrival, their efficiency a comforting presence amidst the tense atmosphere. They assessed Sophie's injury with professional calm, cleaning the wound and ensuring no severe damage had been done. The bite, though frightening, was fortunately superficial, requiring only stitches and not surgery. The beach cleanup coordinator gathered the volunteers as Sophie was being tended to. The day's events had taken an unexpected turn, and it was clear that the cleanup would have to be postponed. The safety of the participants was paramount, and the shark encounter had raised concerns that needed to be addressed before they could continue their work. The incident sparked a flurry of discussions within the community. Local authorities and marine biologists from the University of La Reunion began investigating the shark's presence in such shallow waters, a rare occurrence that caught everyone off guard. The following community meetings focused on enhancing beach safety and balancing the need for environmental conservation with protecting those who volunteered their time. Sophie's story quickly spread, her bravery and commitment to the cause earning her admiration and respect. Interviews with local media highlighted volunteers' risks and the urgent need for action against marine pollution, indirectly contributing to such wildlife encounters. In the following weeks, Sophie's recovery symbolized the community's resilience. Her experience had not dampened her spirit but strengthened her resolve to advocate for the ocean's protection. She became more involved in educational programs, sharing her story to raise awareness about the importance of safe and responsible conservation efforts. The beach cleanup event was rescheduled with increased safety measures and a renewed sense of purpose. The volunteers returned, their numbers bolstered by Sophie's story, ready to continue their work with a deeper understanding of the ocean's complexities. The incident at St. Paul Beach, while alarming, had brought the community closer together, fostering a collective determination to protect their cherished coastal environment. Once a volunteer, Sophie had become a beacon of inspiration, her encounter with the shark a poignant reminder of the delicate balance between human activity and the natural world. As the story concludes, the beaches of Reunion Island remain a place of breathtaking beauty and vibrant life, a testament to the resilience of its people and its marine inhabitants. The community's commitment to conservation, strengthened by their challenges, ensures that the island's shores remain a haven for all who cherish the ocean and its wonders.